Okay, so as I was talking about, we're going to be looking at our mission statement here on the Brill campus and our campus objectives. And I would like some feedback from you guys as my cross section of what you think we're doing right here at Brill and what things you'd like to see changed and how you feel like we maybe can modify or kind of change some of our mission statement or our campus objectives. If you feel like we're doing things well, tell me what you're liking about what we're doing well. So let's start with our statement. It says Brill Elementary School's mission is to ensure all students are future ready by developing successful citizens who will achieve their greatest potential both academically and socially. So, do you feel like that's a mission statement that really speaks to you? What do you think about that?
I think so because it covers all the students, potentially, not only just academically, it's focusing on being all around achieving to their best ability and developing themselves. A good character, it covers a lot of the areas that we want good citizens to become.
Okay. Anybody else have something they want to add to that?
I think it sounds good.
Okay. What about the future ready component? What do you think we're doing that's
I like the future ready component because really and truly we're heading towards the future. They need to be future ready, not past ready. And that really lends itself to different idiosyncrasies. Some people think, well, I learned it this way, so this is the way it needs to be taught. Whereas we're moving in a different direction. Pencil may be obsolete in 20 years. So they need to be future ready, technology ready. And I think Brill is really hitting the nail on the head when we are preparing our kids, not only character wise, education wise, but also technology wise.
I'd like to add something to that. I think that with technology, um, being able to use the Chromebooks, and most classrooms are one-on-one, one-to-one ratio. So I think as far as being ready, they're more than ready because we've given them all the resources to be able to move on to middle school and high school. And technology wise, they're used to using Classroom, Google Classroom. They are able to use a lot of the apps. They are just well-rounded students.
so a lot of people on this campus would maybe say though that we don't have the equity of technology on this campus. So they would maybe not agree. I know many of us in this room have the Chromebooks and have access to them on a regular basis. What would you say to those people? Do you think they would feel the same way about that we are preparing our citizens or our students?
I think it starts with the head of the classroom, in this case, the teacher, because there are some teachers are more likely to use technology because of the vision, and some are try to shy away from technology. But if you think about the future, I mean, our kids could become CEOs, or they don't need to be CEOs to be able to collaborate with somebody that's on the other side of the world, and this is something that it will be second nature to them, just like we are second hand with the telephone. It'll be second nature to them to plan and to teleconference with somebody that's on the other side of the world. Who knows? They'll come up with wonderful breakthrough ideas if they're used to this technology nowadays, the one that we have currently.
Right. So those kids that have access to it though are getting the comfort level. What about those kids that aren't?
I think, well, they're not getting it
And why aren't
because
they getting it here?
I'm sorry.
Why aren't they getting it here? Do not all classes have it? They do not all have the Chromebooks?
They do not all have the
part is
Chromebooks.
budget.
Okay. And who decides which classrooms get the Chromebooks?
Can anybody answer that?
Or well, I think originally it was like a trial basis. They wanted to kind of like a pilot.
Mhm.
Originally, it was like a pilot, and there were certain teachers or classrooms that were selected for the pilot. And I'm not really sure what the criteria was, but little by little, it's being spreading, towards other classrooms. And the teachers that want to use it, it is available.
I
to
can
use.
see, like me coming in as a long-term sub, coming in and they already know how to use it, that's easy for me to do. I can't imagine being a teacher teaching for 20 years and somebody comes in, brings you the Chromebook and said, okay, your students are going to have to learn how to use that. That would be very overwhelming. I could see how some teachers would say, I don't want to do that.
Well,
But the kids need to do it, and they know. I mean, I have kids that come. I'm like, I don't know how to do this, and they'll come up and go, I can fix it. Let me fix it. Let me fix it. And I'm like, okay, go for it.
Because I think a lot of our students, now it's everybody, most of them go home and they have a Chromebook, they have laptops. So when they come to school, they're like expecting, okay, I need, where's my laptop? Where's my Chromebook? But because of budget, and we're very fortunate at Brill because PTO has done a lot of, fundraising or whatever, I don't know, to be able to get the funds so we can get more Chromebook cards.
I mean, I love it.
And
Coming in
Klein-
with that, I'm sad when they don't.
And Klein has a plan to go one-on-one, and it's trickling down to the elementary school. So I think, is it in 2 years, 5th grade will be one-to-one? And then we'll start to go lower
I
and
know
lower.
Club's getting Chromebooks next year.
So, but you brought up a really good point, and if I'm hearing you correctly, what you're saying is you can relate to teachers that may be reluctant to jump on board with the technology aspect. So although we're saying as part of our mission statement that we're developing citizens that are going to be future ready, and we all feel like, I'm hearing that that's being technology ready, a big component of that. What do we do to change that? What do we do to change teachers'
I think, to be honest,
perspective?
I'm not going to mention names, but we have teachers that are very reluctant, and I think helping them feel more comfortable and being there for them and then teaching them at a slower rate makes them feel a lot better and more comfortable. And sometimes I think it's more of a lot of people feel left out, like, oh, well, why did they get chosen to pilot the Google Classroom or whatever they went to, classes that some teachers were fortunate enough to be chosen for, but not everybody. And maybe, our administrator had a point in mind because she thought, well, let's pilot this, if it works, and then people start jumping on board. And I've seen that change in a positive way. So even though some teachers didn't feel comfortable at the beginning, they're now seeing the benefits and they're thinking, oh my gosh, yes, I want to do that. So now, of course, we're all wishing we all had Chromebooks every day. But
and I think it also has to do with like you said, a year that a teacher that has been teaching for 20 years may be more reluctant. I have not been teaching for 20 years, but more than 10. And to be perfectly honest with you, all my kids are Chromebook savvy, and I have never used a Chromebook. And I have trained them to use the Chromebook because I can't work with a Chromebook. I work with a laptop. I work with other. So it also has a lot to do with your desire and willingness to jump in. I never got trained on the Chromebooks, but all of my kids got put on the Chromebooks. I put them on the Chromebooks.
I jumped in the middle of the year, and I have no idea even how to open it. And I mean, they're like, and I don't know how you can get I don't know how you can express to the teachers that it's a good thing, and it's really not that hard. And the kids pick up on it, and they'll teach you, or they'll fix it if you can't fix it. It's just going to be fine.
You're right. It's exactly what it is. It's not hard. It's so easy that nobody needs really that much
It'll
of a
make your
training.
life easier. I mean, it makes it does make teaching easier, but I can see having to learn it. You're overwhelmed so much with everything anyway, and just for them to add something on, that's overwhelming. But after you get past that, and it's there, then it actually makes teaching easier.
And like they pointed out, I think sometimes they need to see it in action first and kind of go with their pace, like what you were saying, for them to feel comfortable.
right, because I think like you
that's
were
happening.
saying, we all feel so overwhelmed, especially at the beginning of the school year, and you're thrown, do this, do that, do this. So to teach something else on top of what you need to teach, it's overwhelming. Always our concern, time. The
Yes. And I agree with you. I think that a lot of teachers see it as it's just going to be
An
additional time that's taken away from their teaching instead of seeing it as an instrument to kids' learning.
Right, and incorporating that because it'll make our lives so much easier.
Yeah, I mean, when I was sick, so I had a sub yesterday, and one on Friday. And I didn't teach the lesson for math. I just gave it to them on Think Central for them to do with a sub. And then today I came back and I did the book lesson and I reviewed it and they totally knew it. I mean, they knew it. And I was like, I mean, it was so easy.
Yeah.
I mean, for them to learn something without me actually having to, stand over their shoulder and scream.
And a few years ago, a sub, sometimes you wonder, is anything going to be learned, or are they going to actually do anything I left? And then look, the success that was able to happen.
Or would it be introduced the way you knew it should be based on the standards? Were you going to have to do a lot of reteaching?
Yeah.
So I heard you say earlier that that part of the maybe reluctance of some of the teachers was feeling like they weren't the special chosen ones. Do you think maybe if the principal would have communicated their thinking behind who they chose, or the thinking behind the piloting of a program and how that was going to trickle down, do you think that would have helped with maybe some perceptions?
I think so, because it's a lot of people feel left behind and they think, why am I not being chosen? I can do the same thing, or I've been teaching longer than they have. True,
Right.
it's true, but I think if our administrators were to explain and say, this is why we decided to go with this class, not because of you. It's not
Right.
a personal issue. It's more, we're seeing, for example, I was chosen because of the bilingual kids.
Right.
So it depends on whatever they're looking ahead to get us going. So it's something that's going to benefit everybody at the end, but they have the reasons, their own reasons why the way things are done.
And sometimes communicating those makes people a little bit more open-minded. Okay, so Catherine, let me ask you this. I know as a specialist, have y'all had much training on the Chromebooks and how to,
No.
okay,
Well, they could have, but with me being the only new one to the district, I haven't had all the trainings that the other specialists have had.
okay,
So me personally, I have not had a Chromebook training, but I have tons of Google training,
okay,
which will feed into the Chromebook.
right. So do
Yeah.
we see how that could be beneficial if maybe also our specialists were able to come in and help teachers feel more comfortable with the technology and show how to use it as part of their classrooms and okay. Okay, so let's talk about another part of that mission statement too, is that to ensure that all students are developing into successful citizens, not only academically but socially. What do you think we could be doing? What do you like about what we're doing here at Brill with our social
I think a lot
programs?
of
What do you think we could be?
programs are being, they do above and beyond with all these, the Believe and Achieve, and then they try to encourage all the kids. I don't think any child here is left behind. We have so much, the church that helps us. They, the mentors, they come and they talk to all these kids, and there's so much help, and there's always somebody coming up with a different thing to do, to
Yeah.
encourage all the kids. So I think Brill does an excellent job in these programs for all of them.
Okay.
And I love how they have the 7 habits. I feel like I'm missing a word.
7 habits of a healthy
effective
kid, highly
students,
effective
yeah.
students. Yes.
Yes, and I think having one focus per week really helps reiterate social behavior
Mm-hmm.
and helping them become leaders.
I like the 7 habits. I've been through that training for highly effective people and different 7 habits. On the Believe and Achieve, I think it's something that's been a little bit overused, so the kids are sort of immune to it.
And what do they
it
get
doesn't-
from that? I mean, they get just their team announced on the announcements, or is there some kind of reward for? What do they get for? I coming in here, I'm kind of lost, trying to figure out what it is, and what I don't know what it is. And I was even confused when my kids were here, and we wondered, well, I don't know what that means. What is it? I don't know if it means they get,
They do get
just
points,
recognition, and what happens with the points?
they get a reward at the end of the 9 weeks. They either give them some extra, like either recess or
Okay.
I think one year we had those balls, those snowballs. and
Right.
They did